Good afternoon from a sunny Friday afternoon here in Southern California. I'm Bob Voss, and I would like to welcome you to the Fall 2019 Thesis Introductory course, SSCI 594A. Just take a minute here in the video to tell you a little bit about my background and also what to expect in the course coming up. So my PhD is actually in political science. And I do a lot of work on environmental sustainability. And over the course of my career, I've gotten more and more engaged in a field called industrial ecology, which is about the optimal use of and optimal flows of materials and water and energy in our industrial system, and modeling our industrial system more like more based on like the way a natural ecosystem functions. So where waste always equals food, where the waste of one organism becomes the food for another organism. Sometimes I think of it as sort of recycling on steroids. And in the process of developing my interests in industrial ecology and sustainable cities and sustainability, obviously I've gotten very deeply engaged in the spatial sciences because I find that the tools there and the concepts, the techniques are incredibly helpful for coupling human and natural systems and coming to understand those things. And in fact, my most recent research is in a very focused area of industrial ecology called spatially explicit life cycle assessment. There might only be 5 or 10 people in the world kind of working on that. And what this is about is a technique in industrial ecology called life cycle assessment, where we look at the flow of products from cradle, from when they're first made, to grave, to when they're disposed. Could be a consumer product or a process or something like that. And my particular focus is on understanding where those products are coming from and where they're ending up affects the environmental impacts that they create. So oftentimes life cycle assessment is done in a kind of way that takes kind of a global average to model those kinds of impacts. And I think that therefore it often gets the story wrong. And so I'm really interested in the way that GIS tools and data can be brought to bear to improve these kinds of life cycle assessment models. So if I haven't completely lost you already with that introduction, one thing you can notice is how incredibly specific and narrow my area of research is. And that's actually a lesson for this thesis introductory course that I want you to keep in mind, because I think one thing you're going to find is that as you develop your thesis topic, it will become more and more focused and more specialized than you might have thought at the beginning. I think we all often start off with the idea that we can change the world in what we want to do, and I want to keep that for all of you guys, certainly, and I want you to do great things with your thesis work. But in order to make that progress, what it really means often is that we have to get into a very specific area of a field and kind of move the progress in that field forward incrementally. In terms of building knowledge. And so I'm hoping that the techniques and tools and work that we do in 594A this semester will help you to very rapidly focus your thesis ideas and find that niche where you can make a contribution. So just my background, you can see, it's sort of become a big part of my career, that kind of research, and you can see that it's, it probably strikes you at the beginning as really fairly narrow, and yet it's been a career's worth of activity in the last 5 or 10 years for me. I can tell you that I'm really happy to teach this class. I bring to this class about 6 years of experience advising students both in this class and also in the successor class to this 594B as a thesis advisor. I've advised about 30 students in my time at Spatial Sciences Institute, where I've been the primary advisor, and I've been on many more committees than that. So I've seen a lot of students make their way through this process, and I hope that my experience with that will be of value to each of you as you figure out what you're going to do, and I can maybe help you focus and help you find productive ways to go about your research activity. So I would point out that as you make your focus here, there's kind of a big variety in the types of thesis manuscripts that get written in the Spatial Science Institute and get finished, and a big variety in the projects. And so for me, they kind of break down along two primary dimensions. One is that there's a variety in the domains that people apply GIST. So some people are working in biology, other people are working in architecture, other people in archaeology. So there's a wide variety of domains. Oftentimes people bring to our program some domain they've been working in the past, and so they bring that domain knowledge. They may even have an undergraduate degree in one of those areas, or they have quite a lot of work experience in one of those areas, and so that's a natural for them that helps them understand where they'd want to focus their thesis topic. And so almost any domain you want to work in, you can find some examples of previous thesis work in our program probably in that domain. And then there's a lot of variation also in kind of the focus within GIST, right? So some thesis projects are, really remote sensing projects. Other ones are really, this is more rare, but they're really cartography projects. Either they're productions of a series of maps, or they're testing how people actually relate to different kinds of visualizations, right? So again, you can see there's this really wide variety of, and some are straight spatial analysis, some are spatial modeling. There's, again, some are WebGIS, some are mobile GIS. There's just a very big variety of different types of GIST that are being done in these thesis projects. And most successful projects probably focus in kind of one of those areas. If you think about it as, going very deep in terms of one of the courses you had, probably one of the elective courses you had in our program, that's probably the way to think of that. And sometimes they do combine some of each. There's certainly some thesis work that has remote sensing and has some spatial analysis with it as well. But generally they're focused in one or at most maybe two of those kind of GIST areas of geographic information science and technology. So I hope that maybe that gives you some early thoughts about how you can focus your topic, and we'll be working on that together here in the first 2 weeks of the semester very strongly. I'll mention one other thing, which is that a lot of this class is about kind of getting you on the path to a finish here in 2 semesters. It is no simple matter to finish a thesis in 2 semesters. If you think about it, your goal would be to finish your thesis by March or at the latest May of 2020. Now, that may seem like a long way off, but when we're talking about, a major project and 75 pages of writing or thereabouts, it is not a long way away. So when you reach the end of your thesis, you're going to give an oral defense in front of a faculty committee. And what you may notice going on right now from the announcements you'll be getting in your email is that there are a lot of defenses happening right now because we are very near the deadline for finishing without needing to register for an additional semester of thesis tuition and thesis advising. And so you will see a lot of opportunities. Already this week I've been on 2 defenses, and I've got another one coming up next week. You're going to see a lot of opportunities coming to where a thesis defense is going to happen. And you, as a member of the public, and certainly as a member of our program, you're welcome to come and attend a thesis defense. And I would highly recommend that you consider coming. Just get the Blue Jeans link, show up at the time. It's going to be a 2-hour block of time on the announcement, but in reality, the public is only usually there for about 30 minutes, at most 45 minutes. So if you've got some time and you can drop in and be part of that, I would highly, highly recommend you do that. It gives you an idea of what you're aiming for, right? Just 6 to 9 months from now. So, okay. So, a little bit about our course this semester. The first thing you're going to have to do is make a choice in the first week or 2 here about whether you take a prospectus that maybe you wrote in 587, or maybe you revise after that as part of one of your electives or something like that, and you kind of know what your topic is already, and you're going to go with an existing prospectus. And if you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to work with me in the first week or 2 to make a revision of that, and then we're going to jump you ahead to basically week 5 of the course, we're going to accept that prospectus, and I'm going to encourage you to actually work ahead. One thing you'll notice on the blackboard for this course is that the whole course is laid out for you now. So it's, in fact, for every student, anyone who would like to work ahead, it's a great thing to do. When I grade each week, when I give feedback each week, if you've worked ahead, I will just look at what you've done and pick up from there. So everyone should know they can work ahead, but particularly those who are going to start with a prospectus that they already have in hand. Now, many others will choose to start over with a new topic, and that's just fine. That's very common in this class. Probably more than 50% of students do that in this class. And in that case, what's going to happen is in weeks 1 through 5, you're going to have a series of very rapid assignments to help you articulate that topic idea, focus it, and get a prospectus written so that everybody by week 5 will have a prospectus like you were asked to do in 587 back at the beginning of the program. Okay, and so. I would encourage for working ahead, particularly everybody, to take a look at the week 7 and 8 assignments. Weeks 7 and 8 are about your methods outline and also your data exploration. And many a thesis rises or falls on the availability of data. And taking a look ahead at those assignments and thinking a little bit about where you're going to get your data, how your data is going to help you answer your research questions. Those can be very helpful for conceptualizing your topic. So I would encourage everybody, especially those who are going to turn in a prospectus they already have in hand, to kind of think about jumping ahead and taking a look at those assignments. Other than that, the deadlines in the course, as I said, these are all minimum deadlines. You are welcome to work ahead. Please just don't fall behind in the minimum deadlines for the different components that are needed. Several times during the semester, we're going to have an opportunity for juries. Please take a very careful look in the syllabus at the criteria for passing the jury. The jury is an opportunity for me and each of you together to go and show your written work to a group of my faculty colleagues. And I find it very helpful to have their input at this stage. And we have a set of criteria about having the right research skills to complete your thesis and having the right data in hand that I think are really useful for focusing the feedback you get from the juries. So that'll be a very instructive and helpful process, I think, and I just wanted to make you aware of it because it's kind of a different aspect of this course. And finally, we'll be in touch very closely throughout the semester. There are seminars in this class, unlike other classes where we'll meet live online for 1 or 2 hours at a go. Please take a look at the doodle poll right away, get that filled out so we can start to get those scheduled. I need that by Wednesday of the first week coming up here. And just kind of stay in touch with me by email and in meetings as we need to. If we need to have one-on-one meetings as well, I'll be happy to do that. It's my charge to make sure that all of you get on track and stay on track towards a successful thesis in our program. I'll leave you with a metaphor that I heard earlier this week that I really like and I think applies very, very much to thinking about thesis topics. The metaphor I heard is that we could imagine maybe that completing a thesis might be like earning a 9 or a 10 in a figure skating competition, right? And the thing about figure skating competitions, if you think about it, is that to some degree, the skaters get to decide on the level of difficulty of their routine, right? So some skaters pick an easy routine and just nail it and get a 9 or a 9.5 because they nailed absolutely every aspect of it, right? Other skaters might choose a really difficult routine and they end up with a 9 or 9.5 even if they missed a couple of small things, right? A thesis doesn't allow for anything below, a 10 is ideal. In fact, at the end of the day, the committee is going to ask you to revise it. So essentially, as far as the committee sees it, it's perfect, right? And in your defense, you don't want to be below a 9 or 9.5. So I would just encourage you to think about that. Think about the difficulty of the routine that you're picking, right? And what the implications are for that in terms of the final score you get, right? Somewhat better strategy probably to pick a routine that's a little bit easier, that you know is within your more within your existing skill set, and skate it for a 10, than to pick something excessively difficult and then have a lot of falling down along the way. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you must do this or you must do that. I will try to give you some advice along the way to suggest that one thing is maybe too hard for you and you should consider something easier. I will warn you that if it's too hard, it might take you an extra semester to finish it. In the end, it's your choice. If you are absolutely committed to doing something and it's very challenging, and I've warned you that it might take you an extra semester, I've done my duty. So it is your choice to land on what you want to do. I'm only here to kind of be your navigator and give you some advice as I see it, give you an honest reflection as I see it. So with that, again, I'll say welcome to the fall 2019 SSC 594A. I'm so happy to have you all. Look forward to meeting you over the next week and 2 weeks and getting to know exactly what each of you has in mind for a thesis. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.